Happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
Oh,
What is going on tonight?
oh God.
We're gonna get into it. How you boys doing?
Buddy, I'm doing lovely.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
It's chop day.
It's the second Friday the 13th this year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I looked up on the calendar the next time. It's almost a year from now. It's September the 13th, 2024. So a big
Wow.
break
Damn.
there. So it's going to be a while.
But how awesome is it to get a Friday the 13th at like this part of October, really? I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. October the 13th, if it's on a Friday, I mean, it's pretty damn neat. So if it wasn't busy enough this October for us, we've got a Friday the 13th ranking show to do. And this is actually the final one that we're doing with the Rad Pit Trio. We've all, it's my turn. So after today, we're done with these rankings until another movie comes out or something. I'm hoping eventually, but who knows? Who's to say?
Blumhouse will fucking buy the rights or something, have a TV show about Friday the 13th.
Blumhouse already has the rights, don't they?
They have the rights to Friday the 13th?
Didn't they buy them? Or
I don't know who's got it, man. Well, the
I
last I
thought that
heard
was
is
Halloween.
wasn't it a TV show or something they're doing?
A24 was going to do the TV show, weren't they? Wasn't that what that was?
Wait a minute. Are you telling me Blumhouse has Halloween and Friday the 13th rights now?
No, Miramax has Halloween now.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Confused.
Yeah.
They're going to
It's been crazy.
bring Rick Rosenthal back to make a new Halloween movie.
That'll be good.
We got a lot of people in here tonight, though. Do a roll call. Ken Carlson, Something Wicked, The Crypt Sweeper, Punisher, Batman fan, Big E68, Witch Hunter, Holly Go Frightly, Wild Wrangler, Lucio Inferno, The I'm Secretly Guy, Cynical,
I'm secretly guy.
Yeah, I can't say that.
Okay.
People try to get me in trouble on here. Jackson Jack, KB Loves Movies is in the house. Welcome, KB.
What's up, sir?
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? Kathy S., Adrian James, Sean Fisher, Crash 517 says he hopes David Gordon Green never gets his dirty hands.
I don't think he will now.
Nah, I don't think so either.
Unless they bring him in. Miramax hires him. That's always possible. So lots of people in here. Rockin' Roger. Deep, diddly deep. Rat Hammer. Movie Junkie John. So we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I'm Planet CHH. He's wanting to know if you're in a good mood tonight, Uncle Bill.
No, I'm not in a good mood, so fuck off.
It's Friday the 13th and he's got a Terror Train shirt on.
He's pissed.
That's what kind of mood he's in.
What mood I'm in? Fuck you all.
Yeah, but I got the Crystal Lake hockey jersey on there.
Hell yeah, dude. That's sick.
Yeah. So we're going to get into ranking these movies. There's 12 Friday the 13th movies. And I don't like ranking stuff. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Ranking shit is not my thing. I've never really done it until recently. The tier thing I like. It's a little easier to do the tier thing. But to rank, like, what is your top pick for any particular movie or franchise or anything like that? I don't know. It's difficult, especially when it comes to a Friday the 13th franchise, which, in my humble opinion, of all the franchises, this is the top, this is top tier. If we ever did a tier list on franchises,
that's a good idea. Just do a franchise. We can put everything in the world in there.
This has to be the top because all the movies, I mean, even the ones that are really bad are still kind of watchable. But yeah, I mean, as far as overall solid, entertaining movies, this one's got to be the best franchise for horror.
It is. It has to be.
I agree too, but I feel like a lot of people don't. Like, I've come to see a lot more people don't think this is a great franchise. And I think what makes Friday the 13th work more than the other ones is that they kind of found a formula and they just kind of ran with it. And they didn't try to really go too far, either left or right from it, which I think a lot of franchises try to do. And I think that it kind of what makes Friday the 13th work is you kind of know what you're getting. Some seem very similar if you're not really familiar with the movies, but at the same time, I just feel like the formula for this franchise works, and that's why I kind of find it the most fun.
Let me ask you this though: Friday the 13th and Halloween are super close together in terms of like what they're like, because Friday the 13th ripped off Halloween. But why do you think Friday the 13th as a series is better than the Halloween series? Because they're really close in almost every way.
I'm really drawn to the outdoors, the camp aesthetic. I think is really what draws me. I think that to me just kind of worked. Like I said, I think the Halloween franchise started to get a little bit too, far to one way and started adding like voodoo in there. Like there was just so many things that they tried to add to it where I think this kind of just stuck to the normal formula and just kind of ran with it. So for me, I always kind of found this a little bit more fun just because again, I enjoy the outdoor, the woods, the cabins, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, in my
Fair
opinion,
point.
from Friday the 13th 1 all the way through 8, I can watch any of those, and I don't dislike any of those movies, really. So if you look at the original Halloween franchise, because let's face it, Rob Zombie's Halloween, both of those movies are fucking terrible, in my opinion. Rick Rosenthal, the Resurrection is horrible as well. The David Gordon Green trilogy, it is what it is. I like the first one, the other two, eh. So let's count the original franchise. I mean, after part 5 on Halloween, that sucks. Part 4 is okay. A lot of people hate part 6. I like part 6. And then, I mean, to me, it's like Halloween is less of a strong franchise of those original movies. I'm not even including those shitty ones after like 1998.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but I always felt kind of as a kid that after Halloween 3, before they got into like H2O and stuff, they just, I don't know, they felt a lot lower in budget. Like they had like a weird, almost like made for TV feeling. I feel like a lot of them where I feel like Friday the 13th almost came off like, they were all like bigger budget movies. I mean, I don't know if that's a fact or not, but it just came across that they were like just a little bit more cleaner looking, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like Friday the 13th started off looking worse and then like got
Right.
more of a budget as the time went
Sure.
by, where the reverse happened to Halloween. Like
Mhm.
Well, the thing
it
is
looked better, then just kind of declined.
really once New Line got control, they got too big of a budget and it kind of lost something along the way, in my opinion. But we'll get to that. So you want to go with bottom bitch for this list? Let's just call it
Yeah.
bottom bitch.
Let's do that.
This was not difficult for me at all
This
because
probably had to be easy. Yeah.
it's really not even a Jason movie. It's Freddy versus Jason. Jason is a big pussy in this movie, for one. And another, it's like he's just a big, like, he's a big dumbass in this movie, too. Freddy,
It is.
Freddy's outsmarting him. Freddy's getting the best of him, and
He's a really stupid look in this movie as well. Like, I don't mean like, I mean, he really looks stupid. Like, he's got like a combination hybrid of like the mongoloid kind of look from part 2 mixed with like something else, like really bad suntan or something. It's a ridiculous looking.
I feel like
Jason.
this was a bad time for horror movies too. Just the look of them, and I can't remember what time this may have been before the Texas Chainsaw remake, but I like to blame everything on that. So I don't know if that's what made this movie look the way it does. Definitely the remake of Friday the 13th, directed by the same damn guy, but we'll get to that a little bit later. This is just not a very good movie either, man. Like, it's one that I never, ever want to rewatch. Ken Kersinger is a horrible Jason.
No, I don't.
Kelly Rowland, yeah.
Look, I'm begging you, and I've said this before, to go back and watch everything she does in that movie. That's one of the worst performances, man, from somebody that, like, I know they're trying to put her over because she was a big singer then, but she had no business trying to act in anything. And
Well,
that stuff with her and Freddy is just
I
awful
remember
today.
though, like, people back then you could get away with a lot more than you can now. But I remember even then, the one line about Freddie's sweater
Yeah.
in the theater, I was like, holy shit, they're saying, I can't believe they said that, but they did. So that hasn't aged well. And it's surprising too, considering Kelly Rowland was in Destiny's Child at the time. I think they were still and that was kind of a pop music act.
That's
But
probably when Beyonce kicked him out and she was like, shit.
she's like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, it had a lot of bad CGI too in that too. Like some of those scenes like with those, what was it? He like a snail or something? Like, no, what did he turn into? Like a caterpillar? Like that stoner guy turned into like a weird caterpillar.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that, but you're right.
And then when he chopped off her nose, it was like kind of a CGI effect.
That was the worst. That's some
awful.
really bad looking CG too.
The only good thing I can recall from this, and it's not even that good because they were stunt tits, was Catherine Isabel's shower scene. Because I was thinking it was real, when I watched it, but it was, not real. This played well in theater, but when I watched it back on DVD, oh man, this is easily the worst though.
Here's what's funny about that
popped
movie,
up instantly.
They had like 10 different scripts for it, at least, and that's the one they chose. They're like, yeah, well, that's the best we got. And it's like that movie is almost incoherent in a lot of ways.
It was a 10-year deal too, man. They worked on this movie for over 10 years, and that's what they gave us.
I can't believe they couldn't figure out anything better than that. But I don't have any kind of problem with that being at the bottom of the list, really.
Yeah, bottom level. I don't think the chat's really complaining too much yet either, but you will. You'll complain very soon. So yeah, number 12, Freddy versus Jason. Ronnie Yu was the director, right? Same guy that did Bride of Chucky, which I like a lot. I don't think it was his fault though. I don't want to blame Ronnie Yu very much.
No, you shouldn't.
No.
You shouldn't.
So let's get on to number 11. Next to worst. You shouldn't be surprised. Jason X.
Those are interchangeable to me too. Like Freddy versus Jason, Jason X could be at the bottom at any point. Really.
Yeah. This was another one that was shelved for a couple of years before they finally released it. And I think part of it got out on the internet, like in the early days, like of bootlegging movies and stuff. But this is just has a certain level of just genericness to it. For pretty much the opening, like even the opening credits, it looks like something that would be on the Sci-Fi Channel, that Jason Statham would be in or something like that. Something just really generic. And there's some good aspects to it. A couple, the frozen head scene where he smashes the girl's head against that's pretty memorable. And then the scene where he goes back to Earth, back in like, what is it, Earth 2? It's like a
when he's like flying through space and like that guy jumps on his back or whatever.
Yeah.
I can remember being in the theater, my friend Keith standing up, what the hell is this? The guy's like riding on Jason's back in space.
Another weird component to the movie is the beginning too, with freaking David Cronenberg out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, such an odd scene.
Something that I forgot too, like I watched a little bit of this today. I couldn't go through the whole movie. I just couldn't do it. I just, but like the opening, I think it's originally in 2010. And then Jason and this girl's cryogenically frozen to the year 2455. And they're both thawed out and everything. And Jason goes on his big killing spree pretty much instantly. But yeah, David Cronenberg's in. It's Canadian. It looks like something from the Sci-Fi Channel, circa 2002.
It really does. Yeah.
2001. What year did this come out? 2002, it says. What do you think of the Uber Jason, though, in it? The Android upgrade Jason.
I thought it was fine. I mean, it was something different, but again, I would prefer the earlier Jasons that we got in some of the earlier Friday 13th personally, but I thought it was something different. I mean, it's memorable for sure. The mask is memorable. I think the poster art is super memorable. I remember seeing that standee or poster in my theater and kind of being like, whoa, what is this?
I do like the artwork. I'll give it that. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
Sean
kind of like
Cunningham.
I mean, I like Uber Jason, but it's kind of like whenever I see that outfit now, it kind of reminds me of like the shit they had on Super Shredder, like the same,
It does.
like
Yeah.
I don't know, plastic looking kind of thing.
And this movie is just boring too. It's not really, I mean, there's a couple of memorable scenes, but the problem I have with Jason in this is what was the deal with the hockey mask and stuff? Like that looked very bizarre. Nothing close to what he wore before.
You mean before he turns into
Yeah,
Uber
before.
Jason? Yeah, like that's one of the worst looking like Jasons before he actually like kind of turns into that.
I don't even remember it really. I just remember he had kind of like just little pieces of hair or something, didn't he? Like what
Yeah.
was the and he was all frozen. I don't remember what the mask looked like though.
It was like almost like a skewed version, like a small version of the hockey mask
Hmm.
that it just looked bizarre. I don't know if anybody's got a photo they can throw a link up on here, however you do it, but it's definitely different than what he had. He didn't have anything remotely like that before.
I'll tell
And
you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
even on the cover, I don't think it looks like much of what, like on that side, what they used in the
No.
movie. So,
Was it
One of the. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Gary.
I just didn't remember was it really dark? I can't remember what.
Yeah, I mean it's lit pretty dark too because I don't think they wanted people to see it very
But
much.
I mean remember there was some of the masks that were like almost like brown looking. I
It
didn't
is
know if that was-
brownish. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it did look like a shrunken head person in Beetlejuice. Like his
Yep.
head was really small in it,
Yeah.
and it had like peach
Oh
fuzz
yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah, I do
Yeah,
remember
that
now.
yeah, that was ridiculous. But one of the worst parts of this movie to me is the music. It sounds like that fucking space music they got, which is kind of like elevator music. It's always going in the background when they're up in the when they actually go to space or whatever, and it's like just that soft kind of in the background. It's like when you go to an aquarium, the music that they have on, and it's just there's nothing about it that's exciting, and you just kind of feel like you're drifting through some sort of fucking nightmare. It's just super boring.
And the cast too are just totally like, and I know it, I understand, like it's it's Friday the 13th. You don't have to have name cast in it, but they're just bad. Like it's just a bunch of bad acting. Um, a bunch of people you don't give a shit about.
Just
You're
generic.
really
I
rooting
mean,
for Jason, but at the same time, you're like, oh, this is just bad. This is a shame that this was made.
yeah, it doesn't really fit. I mean, it just was so different. I mean, I can remember being amped for it and seeing it like that midnight before release date, like so excited, and I was pretty much let down. I mean, I think it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember being so stoked for it. Like I got the movie poster, all this other stuff too, and yeah, it just really did feel like a sci-fi movie. And I know a lot of people have grown to love it, and I don't know if it has to do with how old they were when they saw it. Might have been a lot of people's first time ever seeing Jason before, but again, it's kind of like the black sheep in a way now of the franchise. It just doesn't really match
Well,
the other ones.
there's people that are fans of it though.
Sure,
I know
yeah.
Slippy likes it. Rambo's saying he likes it more than 1 or 5, which is blasphemy. Um, why do you think it has a fall? I mean, is it just the fact that it's so different than the other
Yeah,
ones?
probably because it's so different. I mean, if there's a lot of people that are into more like maybe space movies rather than having him set in the camp, I mean, I don't know. Again, it's been a real long time since I've really seen it, a couple of years at least. So I don't know. I might have to do a rewatch, but I don't ever remember it being. I think, to be honest, if I'm thinking back on my list when we did it like a year ago, I feel like those were my bottom 2 as well. I just don't remember what order they were in.
Yeah. Here's the thing, people are saying it's a fun movie. I don't think it's fun at all. Like I think it's boring as hell. Like just it's very hard for me to get through that movie.
Well, it is
There's
the last Kane Hodder appearance in Friday the 13th as well.
and that's probably for a reason, sadly. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, he does his thing. I think Kane Hodder's fine. He was fine as Jason, but he kind of took ownership, I think, over that role, and he was really only in like 3 or 4 movies, which he was in more than anybody else, I guess, as Jason. So I guess there's that. But I mean, anybody can, aside from Kim Persinger, anybody
nobody
can
in
play
their
Jason.
life, man, nobody in the history of the world has made more money off of a character 20 years after they played it than
Hey,
fucking
Doodle.
Kane Hodder.
Doodle,
I'm telling
come
you.
here.
You go to any convention anywhere he's at, he always has like a line.
Oh yeah, he's still killing it, dude. Yeah. And
It's
it's
like,
funny
that will
because
never
I've seen
end.
him so many times and I'm like, wow, like how many people are coming here that have like this is their first time ever meeting him? Because it always seems like he does have a huge line and he's always there, you know?
Yeah.
His signature will never be worth $1. I'll tell you that, because there's
Hey,
500 million
Doodle.
people that have it.
Come here, Doodle.
Come on, Doodle.
That'll never get old.
Hang
Every
on.
time I hear anybody say the name Kane Hodder, I think of Doodle.
Doodle. What is that from?
He owes over $180,000 to the government. I didn't know that. If that's
shit.
legit.
So this was like I think it was a Scarefest. We were sitting right beside a Kane Hodder all weekend. Our table was or whatever. And this was before Scarefest was like as popular as it is now. So now it's like insane, right, Uncle Bill? It's just you can't hardly even. So it's kind of like tumbleweeds there for a few hours a day or whatever. And there was this toothless old woman and her daughter, and I guess it was her granddaughter or grandson or something. Is Doodle like more of a boy or a girl name? I don't know.
I think it's a boy name. Doodle, get over here.
And this old toothless woman kept yelling for her grandson or whatever. Hey, Doodle! Come here, Doodle! Kane Hodder, Doodle!
Were you guys like laughing your ass off at the table?
We were, yeah.
I was laughing at like his response, which he, of course, tried to be nice and everything. And then he come over. I remember he come over to me. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but fuck it. It's been probably 15 years ago or whatever it was. And he was like, there's just the nicest people here in Kentucky, but none of them really, they don't worry about grooming very much or anything like that. And I was like, no, people in Kentucky don't care about that. That ain't a top priority. That ain't a top priority, sir. Anyway, what would this be? Number 10. And this was the last time there was any Friday the 13th film made. 2009.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th remake. Kind of a remake, kind of a sequel. What do you guys think of that? Is it a remake or no?
It's a remake.
I'm gonna tell you. Go ahead.
They kind of go through his history, right? Like, so they kind of almost touch upon the whole story in one. Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily need to be a requel. I mean, reboot.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's a reboot technically, but yeah, they go through like his whole beginning and whatnot in the movie, and then they show him with Baghead and all that other stuff.
It's, to me, those three movies that you mentioned, like I'm about willing to say that they're the bottom three of each one of us, but in maybe like different orders. But those three are pretty like easy picks. It's like after this one that it gets really interesting to see what happens. But those three, I feel like will always be on like the bottom.
Yeah, Jason grows weed in this too. They changed that up a little bit, or he lives close to the weed. I don't know if they've ever said
he's a blazer. It's fine.
Good looking girls in this. A lot of people were going crazy. Willa Ford was showing the goods in this. A lot of people liked, Willa Ford 2009. That was right around the time she had her one hit, I guess.
I still don't even know who the hell Willa Ford is or was even back then.
She was a pop singer very briefly. One hit wonder. Garrett knows Willa Ford, I bet.
I know who she is, but I don't know what the song she had was.
Britney Spears type music. Fucking Jared Padalecki is in this too. Who I can't stand to see him on screen at all. Like he's just such a terrible actor.
He's really bad. He's really generic as well.
Danielle Panabaker, who's cute. Like I kind of like her.
Which one was she?
She was like the girl, the main girl that was in it.
Yeah.
What was her name? I don't think
Christy.
I said her name. We'll just call her Danielle because that's her real name.
Yeah.
Danielle. Jared Padalecki is a terrible actor. He reminds me like the hairdos in this too. Like, do you remember like the Justin Bieber style, like terrible freaking hairdos that people had where it was almost like they had hat head and it was curled
Yeah.
up at the bottom and
Yep.
shit.
Yeah.
I just wanted to smack the hell out of everybody that I saw with hairdo like that. Uncle Bill, I can't help it.
Yeah, this is a really interesting movie, though. I mean, in so many different ways. Jason grows marijuana, and there's some kids that go to a party, and it's at a
Sets
lake, and
traps.
sets traps. Yeah,
McCord loves
Padalecki.
Jared Padalecki.
I agree with somebody who said that Derek Mears was a good Jason. I thought he was.
He was
Jason.
a great.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he was a great Jason. I always
That's
say
about
how
all
bad
I
I
can say.
feel for him about that because I talked to him when that thing was about to come out, and he was like, "I'm signed on for multiple movies." He was all like stoked. I mean,
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
getting that. Imagine getting that contract to be you're the next Jason.
Yeah.
He must have thought his career was golden for a while, you know. And then
You know what he
I
is, though,
still
Garrett?
don't. Well, he's not Swamp Thing either. Like that.
No,
that was another one that
Yeah,
he
that
was all
was
excited. I
brief.
got Swamp Thing. I'm going to be in the show. That like
Oh,
lasted
you're
like
not.
a season tops.
It's like the
half a
worst
season.
luck of anybody.
I do. I feel like that. And he's such a nice guy when I met him. And it just sucks that he got these big roles and they just kind of like shit the bed. Now, I don't remember why that had to have been a success, that movie. So why was there no sequels? I don't know what happened. I forget. I mean, I'm sure it's been talked about. I just don't really remember.
There were rumors for a while, and I think Derek Mears was even attached to be Jason in it. Derek Mears is a freaking one of the nicest guys of all time, by the way, too. We interviewed him back in the day.
Unfortunately, though, he's a good man in a bad time.
Yeah. I mean, technically, he's like, he could still be Jason, right? But I don't think that they would do it. I mean, it's been so long, you know, there's a new reboot. If this ever, you know, if they ever do restart the series, it's going to be a complete reboot, I'm sure.
Yeah, he'll not be in it. He lost his shot. He had one shot, and unlike him,
one shot, one opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. That opportunity once in a lifetime, and he blew it.
Passed him by.
Remember they were going to do like Jason in the Snow? Wasn't that like the rumor for part 2 or something?
Yeah, which was a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of did that with the Never Hike Alone.
Oh, yeah, that's
or
right,
whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would have been cool. But yeah, I mean, this one's not horrible. Like, I could watch it again. It's just parts of it are really slow. Some of the characters in it are, I'm not a fan. Anytime I see Jared Padalecki on the screen, I just roll my eyes. I just don't, he's like, whatever. I was not a fan of, what was that show called? Supernatural or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A show like that made me, hate Kansas, Uncle Bill, forever.
The band or the state?
The band. I already hated the state anyway. Because what the hell's in Kansas?
It's true. It's like fucking
I've never
Idaho.
seen that show, so I don't know.
We reviewed. I think they sent Uncle Bill like a couple of seasons of it back in the day. That's how I watched it.
Yeah,
we had to review it, but this is not a terrible movie. It does look a little bit too much like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake because it's made by the same damn guy, Marcus Nispel. Way better than that movie. I will give it credit there. So number 10, Friday the 13th from 2009. So 14 years it's been. Almost 15 years.
Oh, that's insane.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just shows how time is like flying because that to me doesn't feel that long ago. Like in my head, I'm thinking like 15 years. I'm like, oh yeah, it was when Scream came out. Like I'm so lost when it comes to time,
Right. Yeah. I mean, time definitely moves a lot quicker nowadays. So
yeah,
a lot of people, like I know Rambo's a huge fan of Jared Padalecki. I would have never thought that. But surprises me. So let's go on to number 9.
This should be where it gets interesting.
This is when Jason went to hell, and so did the series.
I knew this was where it was going. I mean, I would have to agree with that pick because I'm thinking back at all the other ones, and I'm like, I guess this would have to be right here. And I'm pretty sure that this order right now is exactly what mine was up until now. Like it had to have been, unless Hell and Remake were switched, but I think it was probably this. I don't see any other way I would have done it.
Well, y'all should
Yeah, buddy.
get
Uncle
together
Phil. Jason Goes to Hell, though, is the only Friday the 13th film that I saw in the theater twice as a kid. I was so excited. I can remember this. This was 93. I think it was like the summer of 93, like May or June when it came out. And it was, of course, a Friday the 13th. They knew how to market movies back then. This was back before they had Halloween movies in freaking August. It was sold out. The first time I tried to go. We had to go. We went all the way to Ashland, which is like an hour and 20 minutes from here, to see it because no theaters around here had it, and it was sold out. Had to go see The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones instead. I still remember that because I was so mad. But I did finally watch it.
Were you do you think you were like a freshman in high school when that came out? Because I think I was in like 8th grade or something when that came out, or 7th grade, I feel like.
I was in like 93, so I would have been like in 8th grade, I think.
All right,
I wasn't
so
in high school yet.
Years of Adams Middle School, bulls.
But I liked the movie when I first saw it, and I still kind of like it. You know, I mean, it's different, but Jason's barely in it, man. Like, and a lot of the argument is, well, people go back, well, you love part 5 and Jason's not in it. Yeah, but at least it's a guy in a hockey mask. Like this time it's fucking just whoever. It's the guy from fucking No Holds Barred is the killer.
Fuck yeah, Perry. You said it. Fuck the haters.
Part 6, yeah.
Listen, here's the thing about it though. Stephen Williams gives an awesome performance in this movie, even though it's insane and it makes no sense. The dude that was in Friday the 13th, the series, is awful in it, but there's some other like supporting characters that are kind of memorable. Plus, it probably has the most, like one of the most memorable kills in any of the Friday the 13th movies. And you know the kill that I'm talking about, like in the uncut version. Yeah,
dude. The first time I saw this movie, we my buddy Mark and I rented it when I slept over his house, and we had like a marathon with all the different Friday the 13th. And I can remember we watching this one like in the morning, like around breakfast time. Like we're sitting in the living room watching, that scene came on, and his parents were like sitting like at the kitchen table, like behind the TV. And we were just sitting there like this, like, because again, I think I was in probably 6th grade when this came out or something. So we were still kind of young, but it was just so funny because we were both sitting there with like our mouths wide open because that scene that came out, we were like, oh my God, what is this? Is the best movie ever.
Just because of that. Yeah. I mean, it's a great scene.
Was that the first like uncut, like unrated VHS tape? I can't remember anything before that.
I don't know. I think it could have been for sure. But that's another iconic, even still, no matter what people love or hate the movie, iconic movie poster.
Yeah, the promotion on it, like where is the chrome mask in the movie? It's nowhere to be seen, but it's killer promotion.
Scotty has just put his social security number in the chat for some reason.
Another one I remember seeing in the theater, like the poster or standee, and being like, "Whoa, this is so cool with the chrome!" Like I can still visualize seeing. To me, it felt like a standee in the middle of the thing promoting it, and it was so cool to see that chrome mask. But unfortunately, like you said, it never really.
I wanted to mention this to you, Garrett. I don't know, like they were giving me a hard time in that last tier list. Were you a fan of Megan the movie?
I loved
the character.
I loved it.
As far as modern slasher villains, in my opinion, Megan is right at the top because there's none left. I mean, you got Megan and you got Art from Terrifier.
Yeah.
I mean, who else do you have?
I think Megan's good.
I think we all like that movie, and I know people are fucking losing their minds about it when we did that tier list last time.
I wanted to put Megan at Slashtastic. That was at the top tier, but this was the bottom tier list, right? So it's not like I was putting Megan up with Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers and Leatherface and stuff.
No, it's one of my more favorite horror movies of the last couple of years. It to me is, again, it goes back what I said about something like Talk to Me. It's the concepts aren't super original, but they were able to twist it to make it as original as possible. And I appreciate that. I mean, it's better than just having remakes after remakes and reboots and requels. Like it's original enough, and I'm excited to see a sequel to Megan.
Oh yeah, I think they can make a whole franchise out of it, and I hope they do because they're onto something with the character. Mm-hmm. What do you know? Melody's in here.
Hell yeah, Mel.
Where's Uncle Rad been? I ain't heard from that little piece of trash lately.
I know he
I
get
think
all
he
upset.
died.
And he kind of
Jason Goes to Hell. Okay, you mentioned Stephen Williams' character, Uncle Bill. I don't have anything against the actor. I mean, he was a fine actor and everything.
Yeah.
But that made no fucking sense.
I
Nobody
said
knew the
it.
hell.
I said it didn't make any sense, but it said that he just did a great job playing like a crazy bounty hunter-ish kind of guy.
How hard would it have been? And of course, you couldn't have got Stephen Williams because he's an African American guy. Tom Matthews, get him as he's turned into a bounty hunter. It's his mission to kill Jason for good.
I would have loved that.
Instantly, it would have brought it up a couple notches. Come on, Jason, I'm bad for you, you fucking pussy.
I would have loved that. I would have loved that. I love Tommy Jones.
Now, why? Why do you invent a fucking character that nobody knows when you could have easily just done that?
Yeah. Legacy characters. They weren't thinking about that, were they?
No, they're trying to make new characters. They're trying to bring in the new Creighton Dukes come in.
Jackson. Uncle Rat has his soul locked inside that old laptop. And you brought it straight to hell. He's stuck in the laptop.
Anything else about Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday? The end of it, of course, everybody loves the end where Freddy's glove drags Jason's mask to hell, of course. But it would be 10 years before that movie ever came out, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it as much as other people, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you like it because it looks like an X-Files episode.
It does, actually. It really does.
Maybe that's it. And it has people from the X-Files in it, too, so maybe that helps.
What if they could have
I don't hate it. I actually don't hate any Jason movies. I don't hate any of them. I just would say that if I had to choose where this went, it would probably go right here for me.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. I mean, if I'm in a mood to watch a different Friday the 13th movie, this is the one that I go to all the time. Right? The other three that we mentioned on here, I don't know.
Nobody goes to those.
This is the one I go to. But with a few small changes, man, it could have been really good. I thought Leslie Jordan was great in it. Somebody mentioned him earlier, RIP. I think he's great in anything that he's in.
One of the best scenes in the movie, though, is whoever that woman is that's supposed to be his wife or whatever, where Jason just elbows her in her face and she turns around and her, like, you know, they got the prosthetic makeup thing where her mouth's
jaw's like, off,
or
whatever,
caved in. That's so hilarious looking now. Just go back and watch that.
I think this came out at an interesting time too, because 1993, there weren't a lot of slasher. There weren't hardly any slasher movies, especially in the theaters. So this is kind of an anomaly, I guess, of the words for that time period.
And it feels very 90s to me. Like it's got a 90s aesthetic to it. Like you said, it does feel a little bit like an X-Files episode. And I do appreciate that about it, is it just has a different feeling, I think, than any of the Friday the 13th movies do.
All right, boys, y'all ready? Because people are going to start getting mad right about now.
I know which one it's going to be.
I know which one's going to be. Yeah, I think I got a good idea. Let's see if I'm right.
John Carl Bickler was a good friend of ours.
I fucking knew it.
We interviewed him before. Great guy. Great prosthetic, guy, makeup effects guy and everything, but just not a good director. And maybe if they would have kept the unrated version somehow around and we could see like the uncut gore sequences, it would bring it up a notch or two. But those were edited out. And what we did get was just a generic, slasher movie with really no... what's weird is I liked this movie when I was a kid, and there's a couple of these that have aged really poorly. And this is one of them. It looks totally generic. You have like a zombie dad at the very end coming back, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Don't you dare talk about zombie dad.
Zombie dad at the end coming after Jason and saving the day. It was a huge eye roll for me, even when I was a kid. I'm like, what in the fuck? This is a stretch. And you got Kane Hodder, his debut performance as Jason. The look of Jason is great. Kane Hodder does a great job and everything. People bitch about, and I'll admit, part 8, the makeup unmasked Jason is not great. But the first time you see Unmasked Jason in part 7, he looks like a fucking boglin or a Muppet or something. So people don't mention that. That looked like shit too.
Like a dinosaur or something they used to say, right?
Yes.
Dinosaur Jason. It's because Jurassic Park like it's coming up. I don't have a problem with this being here. I think this is probably where I put it as well, because I don't see any other one that could have been in this spot for what we've got left.
Yeah, I mean I like it again, but at the same time it does seem very generic. I'm sure it was. I don't think they had a huge budget they were working with these movies. Paramount was like, keep making these things. They're still making money. They're making a lot more money than we're putting into it.
I mean, there's only maybe 2 movies that I would put below this. So, I mean, I'm not horribly upset about it, but I mean, I think that a lot of people shit on it because it looks really cheap, and I don't think it had that much of a budget. And if it did have that much of a budget, I don't think he knew how to use the budget. So,
and it was cut to hell too.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of the gore scenes and stuff are gone.
But I like the idea of just how like silly that is to have like Carrie versus Jason, and also the fact that I thought it was the best look of Jason.
I love the poster
now, especially
art
I think that too.
Yeah, they have. Friday 13th had amazing poster art.
Laura Park Lincoln's a shitty actress too. She doesn't.
Buddy, look, okay, she might be, but shit, look at the people that came before her. Do you remember anything that woman did in part 6?
Well, the thing,
like part 4,
they focus
a
lot on Tina in this one though. I mean, she's like, it's her movie aside from Jason. But
there's not a lot of competition here though, man.
The girl that plays
Kimberly Beck, Dana Kimmel.
That whole
I don't even remember what that girl's name is from part 6. She was so bad.
Jennifer Cook.
That's yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, part 7. I mean,
I guess I'm not really supposed to be arguing with you about your own list.
Yeah.
I
think you guys busted my balls quite a bit about my list and vice versa. So I think we were kind of on you about yours because you had some big hits on yours of
I was trying to go for things that I knew would piss people off, but also things that I wholeheartedly believed.
Right. So yeah, part 7.
Oh,
I mean,
God. Don't start talking about fucking part 5, Rambo. I won't have it in here.
Part 5. Yeah, you guys we'll talk about part 5 here in a little bit. But part 7, man, like it's a lot of people's favorites too. Like I think it's Steve's favorite. It's one that just hasn't aged as well for me. I like it, but I've got to rank them both. I've got to put it at a certain point, and that's where it would be, right? So continuing on,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Some of these movies I really don't even want to talk about too much, but
don't even do it. Right,
it is what it is.
I wonder what he's gonna do now.
I know what he's doing.
You think?
Yeah.
And I like this movie too, man. This was the first Friday the 13th movie that I ever saw as a kid. This was the first one that I rented. So you got to kill or be killed with Friday the 13th part 6.
Yeah, you know what though? Correct, sir. Correct. People talk about that movie all the time. That movie ain't no count. Is it not?
Part 6.
Part 6.
Yeah.
I know that was where you went last time. I think that was like that was the shock for everybody, I think, on yours, because in my opinion, I think 4 and 6 are the fan favorites easily.
Yeah, I mean, people love to fucking jerk off to part 6, but to me, it's just absolutely like it just misses the entire essence of like what a Friday the 13th film is. And if you like that, then that's fine. But
it's like a MTV Jason movie. Like it's definitely I don't know how big of a budget he had or whatever. But Tom McLaughlin, the director of this, did a fantastic job making it look like a big budget movie in a lot of scenes.
He did, yeah.
So we'll give him that. The look of Jason in this, I just hate. I'm not a big fan. Like the opening scene where the maggots and shit's all over his face and he gets up and everything is cool. But then he has like, what does he have? An army shirt on and a fucking like he's just, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. Tom Matthews does a good job in it. I get a kick out of Tom Matthews and anything that he's in, as you guys know. And the end sequence in part 6 is pretty iconic as well, where he's like, "Come on, Jason."
he's like tying him up with the chain and stuff.
Come on, I'm gonna throw a chain on your neck. It's a plan that I've done. Pussy.
He's having like a Russian chain match with him or something.
That's pretty much it.
I want to get some gas. I want to get some gasoline and squirt it all around the boat and throw a chain around your neck, you little pussy.
I like how it makes him seem like just an incompetent idiot. Because I mean, that voice.
He's like the pit bulls or something. He's like putting it on his neck.
Jason belongs in hell.
He's trying to make him look like Hercules Hernandez or whatever.
Oh God!
That plan worked. He got Jason chained down there. And what's weird is there's a dummy at some lake. I don't know if it's in Michigan or somewhere. Somebody actually made a Jason Voorhees dummy and put him in the bottom of the lake.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, that's so cool.
Scare the shit out of somebody one of these days.
Oh, of course.
The cast in this is not a lot of throwaway. There's actually little kids in this too. None of them get killed, unfortunately. Like that's what I was waiting on originally when I was a kid. I was like,
unfortunately,
are they going to murder
shame.
some of these little kids? Because up until this point, it was set at like a camp, and you never saw kids until part 6, right? Was that the first one where there were little kids?
I think so because it was always just kind of.
Well, if you don't include Corey Feldman, I mean, he was a little kid, I guess, but not like campers.
He wasn't at the camp,
Meet Tom Matthews at a convention, get him say, "Come on, Jason, you pussy."
Yeah. They have part 6 is like one of my favorite characters in the whole franchise. In it, his freaking Court is like my favorite. The dude who Tom Friendly. Oh yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, Alice Cooper, the music video and everything too. That was sort of the big thing. And I did have Garrett's cosplay on here. I was hoping he would be another part 6 character, but I think you run out of them, didn't you?
I actually was thinking about it because I know I was Court the first time and I was Tom Matthews the second time, and I was like, do I have anything else? And I did a little bit of research, but I didn't have anything I could have did. I thought about it though.
You could have been Horseshack or whatever. I forgot what he had on in it.
I was checking to see what Corey Feldman had on in it, but it was
the dad that had that ridiculous fur fucking jacket on.
But again, I know some people are flipping out. Like, I like part 6. It's not that I don't like it, but I have to rank these. So
yeah, I don't like it. Shitty.
Oh, come on.
Man, I never watched that movie. Like, I never go back to that one. I really don't. It's got the worst characters of the whole series, in my opinion, except for Tom Matthews.
Now, this is one, too, that may surprise both of you guys, which we're making really good time with this, so I guess we can bullshit a little bit.
I know what it is. I already know.
I've seen this movie probably more than any of the Friday the 13th movies over the years. I don't know why. And I like it. I do like it, but I have to rank them. And that is Friday the 13th, part 3.
Oh, no, I didn't.
3D.
I didn't see that coming at all. Look, here's the thing about that movie, and I'm hoping that you'll get to this when you talk about it. It has like some of the most ridiculous characters, like stereotypical characters, like just
Tommy Chong.
Yeah,
even Shelley.
Jelly.
Yeah.
And just it's kind of boring too.
Yeah, it's got some boring scenes in it, and it relies a lot on the 3D aspect, which I want to put that over. If you guys ever have a chance to see it, like this Blu-ray here is in the real 3D, the one that Scream Factory did. This works great. And usually 3D doesn't work for me, but it changes the movie quite a bit and does improve it. But we're talking about, just a regular Joe Schmo going and watching it on TV or Blu-ray or whatever. I mean,
without a doubt, I would say of the classic ones, that's probably the worst Final Girl. Dana Kimmel.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say
Like,
that.
I mean, even Jennifer Cook, I think I'd put her over Dana Kimmel.
I didn't. The one thing in that movie I didn't like was that weird sequence where she had like that dream and you're not sure if it was real or not, where Jason was trying to get her in the woods. It kind of didn't really make sense.
Jason wanted to get him some.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of a little bit meh on that part, but that's probably that and 4 are my favorite two Friday the 13th movies. And this is the first one I'd ever seen was part 3. I'm telling you, when he was looking in that window at the end without the mask on, holy shit, when I was a kid that scared the shit out of
That's
me.
funny now though, man, if you see it. Like,
Dude,
I don't know why, but I die laughing.
Fucking about lost my shit whenever whoever was in here called it like Porky Pig.
Dude, I was a little kid and I was like scared shitless of that scene when he saw him in the window.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Stan Winston
He's like, my God, y'all doing?
Stan Winston originally did a design for Jason in part 3 and they didn't use it and they ended up using what we see.
Porky Pig, yeah.
Hey, boys, you seen my boy John?
Yeah.
He was creepy, man. Come on.
I mean, he was back then. When you're a kid, you don't really think about stuff like that.
No, I never seen anything like that in my life as a kid.
Demon Porky Pig. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to think too, this was like the first hockey mask Jason as well. Did he really look like George Jones? Now, come on.
That's just such a fucking funny idea. George Jones.
Oh, all right. You see us on and here come back.
Oh, God.
Poor old George Jones, boss.
He's a little slothy looking.
The first appearance of the hockey mask, though, was in this one, too. He gets it from Shelley.
What a stupid character if you think about it now, though.
Shelley?
Like there's just some dude that's like, I'm gonna bring a bag of props to fucking prank everybody all day.
Yeah, some dude.
That's right, boys. Wet Movie is joining us for the Halloween Horror Picks Roundtable on Monday. It's gonna be a fun one.
You know what that means?
Gonna get wet,
bitch. Like you.
Yeah, we're on Garrett's channel, Dave.
I cut it off. I know when to stop.
Yeah. Steve Miner, though, directed 2 of the Friday the 13th films, and he does not talk about these movies. Why do you guys think that is?
I don't know.
I don't think there's commentaries for either one of them that he's done. The commentary on this one is from Larry Zerner, Paul Kratka, Richard Brooker, and Dana Kimmel.
Listen, I don't know who Perry is, if that's really her picture or whatever, but she just looked like Baron von Raschke, and that's a pretty deep cut for someone. Wow.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Any other thoughts on part 3, though? I know, Garrett, that was one of your top ones, right?
That was my top one.
Top one.
You can't really watch that movie, in my opinion, without the 3D because like there's so much wire work and stuff in it that you can see that it kind of takes you out of it.
It kind of makes, for me, it's always been charming, and I think all those scenes, because they were so, we watched it not like a month ago. We did like the Rad Pack went on Facci Cinema's channel. We did a watch along. It's the first time I think they both, Mel and Justin, had ever seen it. And I've watched that one so many times. So like, yeah, I don't think it really, for them, I don't think a lot of that camera work was effective. They kind of thought it was stupid. But for me, because I think it was the first one I'd ever seen, and my uncle was really like all about telling me how cool it was in 3D, and look at the yo-yo and see how the stick's coming towards you. So I always had found like a weird charm to it, even with like the eyeball on the wire and all that stuff. It just seemed it kind of seemed like a product if it's time, and I think I really appreciated it. But I can see people checking this one out for like the first time and being like, what the hell is all this about?
Yeah, Richard Brooker, though, somebody mentioned that. I do need to put him over as Jason because he did do a fantastic job.
He was good. He probably had the best walk of any Jason, too, where it was just really deliberate, and he felt like he really actually did work on that somehow.
Yeah. So that is Friday the 13th, part 3 in 3D. And if anybody ever has the opportunity to watch it in 3D in the theaters, or you're going to go to a buddy's house that's got a projector or whatever, I highly recommend it because it works. Like, and I'm pretty, when it comes to the 3D aspect, most of the time, like, I just don't get into that sort of thing.
Hell
my.
yeah, Michael K.
Michael K. with a
Michael.
1999 super chat.
Michael.
His
And there's-
favorite has always been the original and the final chapter. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Two great ones. We haven't talked about them yet, so they're up on his
No,
list
they're
somewhere.
coming, bulls. They're coming.
They're coming. They're coming fastly and furiously.
So wait a minute. Before you pick the next one, what's left right now? So you got 1, 2,
1, 2,
4,
5,
5,
and 8.
8. Okay.
I know what he's picking now.
I want to
He's
make
got
some
it.
people mad.
Yeah, I think I know he's picking too.
I wrote them down
Of the
here so I
ones
wouldn't
left.
forget.
It's gotta be 8.
No.
No.
Wow.
I knew it was going to be that one or one.
Wow.
I know which one.
Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter. Painful Hottie is checking in from the Floyd County Detention Center.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Hottie.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
This is like the textbook Friday the 13th movie
Yep.
in every way. Like it's pretty much everybody's favorite. It's very well made. The Joseph Zito did a fantastic job with this movie. It looks great. It's got great pacing, great acting, and everything. Ted White is probably my favorite Jason ever, to be honest with you. But I have to rank them, so I don't have anything really bad to say about it. About part 4, Corey Feldman's in it as a young kid. It's kind of right before he kind of took off, I think, in Hollywood. What do you guys think? I like it.
Can I just 1 minute talk about this scene that's always bugged the piss out of me in this movie? I think it's this movie. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Isn't there a scene in this movie where Jason throws a fucking hammer and it like sticks into like a door frame, but the hammer sticks like with the front end?
Yeah,
Like,
the
I've
whole
always
head
been like,
of it.
The
Well,
head,
then
not the back.
how does that happen exactly? Like, no part of it, just like the flat part of the hammer, just like.
Well, you'd have to have
sticks
a pretty deep gap in between, like the outside of the house and the inside of the house, right? For the head, the complete head of it to get stuck.
Yeah, it just
and the
didn't make
rest of
any
it-
sense.
Yeah, I know what
And
you're
it
saying.
Yeah, but anyway, that has nothing else to do with the quality of the film. That scene always just bothered me.
But this one was originally planned to be the final chapter in the Friday the 13th movies, and you all know how that worked out. Didn't last long.
No.
But yeah, like I said, I don't have anything, and this is just kind of picking my favorites, if you will, and ranking them. I've seen this movie a gazillion times. I never really ever want to watch it again. I'll probably watch it again when the 4K comes out to check it out. But the twins in this, I like them. They're nice.
The double mint twins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crispin Glover is in this, and he's got a memorable dance in this one.
Probably I think that's the best kill in the movie for me.
Kimberly Beck, who's going to be at Scarefest, by the way.
Yep. Probably one of the reasons
Adam
I'm
Beck's
going.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have anything negative to really say about it, but I just have to put everything somewhere. And when it comes to some of my favorite ones, this one's just not that high up. I'll watch it. I like it, but it is what it is. The look of Jason in this is really good, though, too. And the death of Jason in this is really good. The way they killed Jason off in this, I liked a lot.
Oh, yeah, so good.
Very brutal.
Brutal and badass.
Who would win in a fight, Macho Man or Jason?
That's a good question.
Well, that would be a tough one, yeah. I guess the Macho Man's going to have to do all the talking, yeah.
I don't know, man.
Cornholio doesn't agree with you. He just doesn't agree. But it's your list.
Well, I'm sorry, Cornholio. Looks like you're a big fan of Cobra as well, so.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I love Cobra. What, you're not a Cobra fan?
It's okay. Brigitte Nielsen looks really hot in it.
She does.
All right.
Don't fucking get Rambo started on Cobra. That's one thing you don't want to do.
What, does
Really
he not like
piss
it or
him
he
off.
likes it?
No, that's like his favorite film, I think.
Oh, it's a great movie, man.
I like Cobra. I just, again, I haven't watched it in a while, but I remember Brigitte Nielsen's pretty hot in it.
Angel of the City.
Right now we're up to My number 3
Wow.
favorite Friday the 13th.
No,
movie.
it can't be at a 3 already. It's going to be at 4. You've still got 1, 2, 8, 4.
Oh no, number
1, 2,
4. I'm
8,
sorry.
5.
Yeah, I skipped one.
It's gonna say.
I know what's next. I
gotta
do know this one. It's got to be. Ain't no way he's putting anything.
Hmm?
Nothing. Go ahead.
I'd be shocked if this
4.
was,
This is number 4, right?
yeah.
Friday the
What the hell?
Part 8.
It has to
Jason.
be at this
Jason
point.
Takes Manhattan.
Well, I didn't
boys.
think. I thought that was like. For some reason, I thought that was going to be 2 or 1. I really did.
Ah, fuck! I ain't that big of a marker this movie.
Yeah, I thought you were. I thought you were that big of a mark for this movie. You always put this movie over.
The big thing with me and this movie, guys, is this is the first one that I got to see in a movie theater when it came out. So I was only 9 years old, getting to see, and this had hype to it, man. Like,
Wicked. That had wicked hype to it. I can still remember because again, I'm younger than you, barely, but I mean, I can remember this being everywhere. I don't know if it was maybe on commercials from in between wrestling, but I just remember seeing it all the time and I was so stoked for it, but there was no way in hell I was going to see that.
Jason on a yacht is what everybody always says.
it really is, but I mean, to me, it's fine. I like it. The opening scene too is actually at Crystal Lake. People forget about that. And then Jason swims to fucking the ship out there and gets on the ship. It is kind of ridiculous. I'll give you that.
Honest to God, though, like the movie only really gets great when he does like get to New York. Like the shit on the yacht is just kind of like whatever. I mean, he kills a girl with a guitar, and that's okay, but it's not great or anything. Like he kills the captain and some shit. But nothing really happens. Like it's not doesn't really get moving well until like they actually get to New York for that part.
Yeah,
So-
part 8 has a great opening song. I think we'll all agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Metropolis, the darkest side of the night. I mean, a lot of it with me in this movie is probably nostalgia, but I still like it. I mean, the look of Jason in this, I think, is really cool. Now, I'm not talking about whenever he unmasks, that looks like shit.
I think he looks great. When he's all slimy in New York City, he looks awesome.
Yeah, he's like waterlogged and slimy and slug. Like when he walks, you can hear like a sluggy type noise and shit.
Kills someone with a hot rock. I forgot about that, but he does.
Yeah, he sticks a hot rock in this dude's belly willy.
Yeah,
and
it's an awful death.
Punches a guy's head off. That's pretty iconic.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, think about all the shit that happens, the cool stuff when he actually gets to New York, right? So that's when, like, he's on the subway, he kicks the fucking boombox, knocks the guy's head off, drowns the guy in the vat of, like, toxic waste or whatever. Like, everything cool that happens in that movie that people remember happens in the end. Probably 20 minutes.
Doesn't he kill
something.
Ken Kersinger in it? I like that.
Yeah, he throws Ken Kersinger out a window or something.
Yeah. But yeah, this
Into
one,
a
like,
wall. I can't remember.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they promote that Jason talked in this or something like that? Wasn't that
I don't remember.
And the only thing that I can think of is that it's supposed to be Jason's voice in the beginning saying, "Oh, I love this town," or something like that.
Is that it?
I don't know, like
Triple H.
Yeah.
I love this town.
I
This
clearly,
town, nah.
I
The
clearly
best
remember
stuff.
that. Like they were hopping that Jason spoke in this when I was a kid.
Listen, if you find like something talking about that, like a commercial spot, that would be a great freaking reel because I don't remember that at all.
I can't remember where I saw that at, or if I may just be imagining it, but I always thought
you were dreaming of this movie so much.
It was supposed to be Jason in the beginning.
Dude.
Yeah. Claustrophobia.
If Jason had a voice, I wonder what he would sound like. If he could talk.
Talk to me. I love this town.
So he'd sound like Freddy from the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Yeah, basically.
Why are you screaming?
I haven't even cut you yet. Oh my god.
Fucking,
He
if Christian's still in here, buddy, like, all right, I take all your other opinions about Rob Zombie and that shit, but whoever it is that was on your show that puts over the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, you need to fucking throw him off that show and never have him back on. I don't know who it was, but like, that's ridiculous. That movie is the shittiest of the shitty.
Yeah, people don't need to start defending that piece of shit for real.
No, let's not try to bring that back.
But I will always defend this one. I mean, again, is it the best Friday the 13th movie? No, it's not even close, but it's one of my favorites. And it's one that I've watched a lot. I've watched this one quite a bit. And I love again, Paramount kicking ass with that artwork. And then they did the original poster. They don't have it in here. The I Love New York one, which was recalled.
Yeah.
Because New York got mad at that because they own that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you to associate New York with Jason.
And Part 8 to me, I think that was the last one that felt like actually had that Friday the 13th feel to it. The original series. After, Jason Goes to Hell and stuff like that, they really increased the budget quite a bit, so much so that it really didn't even resemble what those movies. I mean, to me, it didn't have the feel like those movies had before.
Yeah, you're right.
Somebody else put something in here that that's true too. I mean, think about it. Jason was on Arsenio Hall to promote this movie. Like that's how like mainstream that really got at that point, which is wild.
Yeah, that's on. I think
that's such a bizarre interview too, because he can't speak, so he just keeps looking at him like mean.
Yeah.
Somebody look that up though. I mean, I don't know if you could find it, if it was just some sort of weird.
I did a reel with it, like a whole thing.
Well, I'm talking about
on Instagram.
The talking Jason. If I'm just imagining that, or if there was something put out about that, I don't know. Or I have a weird memory, one or the other. Anyway. Number 3. Now we're on to number 3.
I don't know which way you're going to go with this now.
I'm like a loose cannon when it comes to these ranking lists.
That's right.
Again, this is another movie that I love.
Get out of my way.
And we interviewed somebody recently from this movie. Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Damn.
The body count continues. At number 3.
At any given time, that could be my favorite. At any given time.
Yeah, I really warmed up to this one. Really, Part 1 and 2 both when I was a kid. I didn't like those movies. Like, mainly because, you're a little kid. You want to see Jason in a hockey mask killing people.
Yeah.
But those two, the first two, really have their own vibe, their own separate.
Yeah.
It still feels like Friday the 13th, but they're a little different than the Jason hockey mask ones. So iconic scenes in this. Amy Steele's great in this. The campfire scene, just some of the brutal death scene with the dude in the wheelchair. They wouldn't do that now, I don't think. But
no, they wouldn't at all. No.
Crazy Ralph.
I'm actually very happy to see. I feel like Friday 13th Part 2 is getting so much more love now than I ever thought it did. Like a lot of people really do put that up there as one of their favorites. And I always thought it is a great, Friday 13th movie, but I just didn't think that it was just as loved as it is. I'm surprised that I think both of you put it way up there on your list. Like you said, it could be number 1 for you, UB, at any time. And it's just cool to see that it has that much respect, because for some reason I always felt like it didn't.
I think it didn't for a long time. No. But I think that a big part of it is people going back and kind of rediscovering it and rediscovering Amy Steele, who's probably the best final girl, in my opinion.
If they were to do a requel, I think it should star her. They should try to figure out a way to get her back. Like she's the one with the shotgun and the, whatever, also, searching for Jason.
With the fucking shotgun shells, like belt and everything, yeah. That's the new trend. Everybody's got to have a belt full of shotgun shells and go after like they're
But it should be her. Because as much as I love Adrienne King, and we'll talk about Adrienne King here in a little bit too, Amy Steele's probably the best final girl in any of the Friday the 13th movies.
She actually might have been the only one, if you think about it, that had a plan Like all the rest of them were just panicking and shit and reacting to what was going on with them. But she actually came up with a plan to try to save her life, which nobody else did except Corey Feldman, who's not a final girl as far as I know. But like all the rest of them were just like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? Oh, shit, I gotta run around and just do random stuff. But yeah, she was smart enough to come up with that.
That whole end sequence as well. And this was the other one directed by Steve Miner too, 2 and 3. I think the end sequence may be aside from the end sequence of the first movie, may be the most iconic end of any of the Friday the 13th films.
I agree. Like I think that might be maybe my favorite scene in any Friday the 13th movie. Like that sequence. Just because like it's so iconic and like so many people like still remember it, and it just keeps coming back up and up and up. And that head is probably as famous as Jason and everything now. You know, the
action figures, and don't they have a life-size replica that didn't Trick or Treat Studios or somebody make that?
I'm sure they make all kinds of stuff like that. But
I think they did, or somebody did.
What, the mother's head?
Yeah.
It's just such an interesting concept though, man. That's never really done in like a horror film like that, where you know she tries to trick him. He's kind of just mongoloid in it, so she's like, I can trick this guy like by acting like I'm his mother, and it almost works. And just I love the way it's filmed too, where like he keeps like they've got that whatever that
where he kind of looks over his shoulder or whatever.
Well, you know the Wayne's World vision thing where he's like seeing his like Betsy Palmer, and then he's like seeing, you know, like her talking to him and stuff.
Right.
That's such a cool way to do that.
I think the interesting thing about part 2 as well is like Friday the 13th was kind of becoming a franchise, but they didn't have the formula yet. So it was almost like they were testing the waters with, hey, how can we do this with Jason as the killer this time? You know, he had the tater sack on and the flannel and the overalls and stuff. So it was like they were almost there with the formula, but not quite. So it makes it a little different of a Friday the 13th movie to watch. And Steve Dash does a great job, I think, as Jason too. Very underrated Jason. Actually, for many years, nobody even knew who the hell they were assuming it was Warrington Gillette that played Tater Sack Jason, but it, you know, that feud come from all that. Of course, that wasn't the case. But I love part 2, man. Like it's weird because when I was a kid, like the opening scene where the kids singing Along Come a Spider or whatever, like I knew that was the one that I didn't like. Right.
Well, here's the thing.
I would turn it off.
When you were a kid, the only thing you wanted to see was like hockey mask Jason, because by that point when we were like old enough, that was the thing that became huge, right? So it didn't have that in it, so you didn't like it. But as you got older, you kind of realized, and it is, somebody mentioned this, it is like the darkest one of the series. Like in terms of the tone of it, it's just very mean-spirited kills, and like it's not a whole lot of light comedy or anything in it. It's just very straightforward.
Yeah. It's and they shot, I think they shot same location as the first movie too, right? Blairstown, New Jersey, in the same general area. Which I would love to go up there and visit at some point.
It's on my bucket list, and it's actually, for me, it's not even that far. Like it really is probably 3 hours from my house, so it's not that bad. But I've never been over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could get an Airbnb up there for really cheap, oddly enough. I think I looked that up one time. So that could be definitely something. Maybe we could do like a meetup up there or something. That would be very cool. One other thing in part 2 too, that I wanted to mention, Stu Charno's character, I think it was Ted. Yeah, I looked it on here. What the fuck happened to Ted?
Nobody knows.
Jason never got him. That was one of the few characters that was just like they forgot about, I guess, or something. I don't know.
My guess is they got tired of dealing with his ass and just like cut him out of the movie. He's kind of a jackass.
Stu Charno is the only person, and everybody knows all the people we've interviewed, that actually wanted to get paid to do an interview back in the day. And this was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah, you need some money.
What'd you say to him?
No. I did
no.
I don't think, yeah, I've got it on here.
always said to him.
At the
But
same time, too, like
he
in sync.
he doesn't do a lot of conventions that I know of. You ever see him at shows?
No.
I
No.
never see him at shows.
I used to have him on, I guess it was MySpace or whatever back then. And that's where I asked him. Right. But yeah, of course.
He said, give me money.
That'd be $50.
$50, bitch.
And let's face it, he wouldn't have been that big of an interview anyway. We never did get the interview, Jackson Jack. That's one person we never interviewed, Stu Charno.
He's like, I was in Once Bitten, buddy. Fuck you.
He was in just one of the guys as well as one of the Lizard Bulls.
One of the Lizard Bulls.
One of the Lizard
The guy
Bulls.
that
yeah,
has
he had the lizards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple Lizard Bulls though, right? Or am I,
No,
yeah.
there was just one Lizard Bulls. It was just him.
Yeah, it was just him. Now, was
Okay.
he in you guys probably don't know this movie. I like this movie called Hunk. Was he the nerd in Hunk, or was he not the nerd?
I've
I
never
always get
seen
him-
it.
I've not seen it either, I don't think.
Oh, it's a good movie, man.
We've got like 190 people in here
Woo!
watching us
Yeah.
live.
Hit
I
that
think
thumbs
we'll
up,
we'll get to 200 by the time you get to the end of this list.
So it's a good opportunity though to tell people to go subscribe to Born to Be Rad on
And?
YouTube. And of course, Dead Pit. The Dead Pit name is owned by us, not that piece of trash, Brent Turner, whatever the hell his name was, that directed the Dead Pit movie, which is terrible. That's a terrible movie, Uncle.
Oh, you talking about Brett Leonard?
Brett Leonard.
Turner. I think
Brett
he's an
Leonard.
attorney.
We're not talking about that piece of trash movie. We're talking about Dead Pit Radio on YouTube. Subscribe to both channels. Definitely helps us out. We do multi streams all the time, but we do our separate stuff as well. So
We do big shows.
lots of big shows coming up. Lots of them I don't know if we're going to get to for October. It's just insane. But
We're
lots
going to get to it.
of stuff coming up on both channels. So definitely subscribe and like and follow and tell your friends, family, and neighbors about.
When's
channel.
the Exorcist one? Is that November?
I put it in towards the end of October, like on the 27th, but we can
Yeah, I think
change it.
No, that's fine. I think that should work.
Give us some time to watch those movies and probably Masters of Horror. I'm thinking November
I agree. Yeah,
because we're just running out of time.
I can't wait to
Yeah.
watch Exorcist 2 again. That'll be.
I'm not watching that
period.
again.
You gotta watch it again. There's
No.
fucking. What are those things called? Little bugs. Come on, man. Somebody rides
gonna
on
watch-
a fucking lizard or something on there. What are those locusts? They ride on
The
locusts.
Locust
I-
King.
I'm excited to watch part 2 again. It's been forever since I've seen that one.
You'll love it.
You're really
I
excited
honestly-
about watching it again.
I remember there was like a good looking Blair scene in that one, right?
She's now
Yeah.
that is the one redeeming value about Exorcist 2 is Linda Blair is freaking fine in that movie. I'm not going to deny it.
I'm actually more like not looking forward to watching Dominion and Beginning.
That's
Like, and
true.
to be honest, I'm not looking forward to watching them, but I also don't remember. Are they like very similar? I don't even remember. Like, is there like the same scenes in both, or are they completely different movies?
I think they're different movies, aren't they? Or was one of them recut? I've watched both those movies at least twice, and I cannot remember a single fucking thing about either one of them.
No,
I can't either.
Me either.
I watched one in theaters, and then I watched the other one when it came on to DVD, and that's it. That's the only time I've ever seen them. So whenever that came out, what was the one in theaters? Beginning? That was the last time I've seen
The
that.
beginning. It was the Paul Schrader cut, and then Rennie Harlan did the
Said,
Dominion
no.
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rennie Harlan, after he got done marrying a 19-year-old model that he divorced 6 months later. Poor fella. Actually, lucky fella.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do, I guess, if you're a director.
Yeah, he like marries him at 19, gets him pregnant, and then divorces him.
Oh.
He's just living the dream.
Jesus. Dark.
Anyway, number two in the Friday the 13th ranking. Everybody thinks they have all the answers, but I changed the questions because part 5.
Whoa! I'm
Oh,
shocked, man. I mean,
God.
I'm actually impressed, to be honest. I thought for sure that was going to be a
Oh, I'm
number
not.
one.
Part 5's my number 2.
I'm not impressed with you at all right now.
But
I am, because I feel like I know his number one. For some reason, I feel like through the years that's like moving way down on people's love list for whatever reason. And I love the original one.
we'll talk
So
about
I
the
don't know.
original here in a second.
Yeah,
but
for sure. But
this one, man, like the argument that everybody has had for 40 years or however long, almost been 40 years. It's not Jason. It's not really Jason. It's a fucking guy in a hockey mask killing people, boys. What do you want? It's the same damn thing. Jason is just a dude in a mask.
yeah, but I don't see why that should matter, anyways. If it's a good movie or not, you know what I mean?
It's
It
a good movie.
doesn't matter.
It's a
you know?
solid movie. Characters.
Listen, the characters are the best characters in the series. You know it. I know it. The whole world knows it. Every one of those characters in that movie has something like redeeming about them. Like maybe not redeeming, but interesting anyway.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
funny.
Ethel and Junior's the best two characters, in my opinion, in any of those Friday the 13th movies. And we're not talking about Jason or anything, just side characters. Like that combo together is just gold. And as a kid, this was my favorite one, even as a kid, man. When I started watching it, a couple of reasons. Debbie Sue Voorhees is a couple of big reasons that I liked it as a kid. And probably one of the best looking women that was ever in any of the Friday the 13th movies at that point in time. Melanie Kinnaman was awful fine looking as well back then, Uncle Bill.
Well, that's true. I think that the best scene in that movie is by far, to me, for some reason, is when she pulls up on the motorcycle. Like everything about that scene is fucking great.
Yeah. I think, didn't Danny Steinman say a lot of that was like an ad lib?
Yeah, all of it was really, because that script was shit. But like when she pulls up and the sheriff's like, "Morning, Ethel, you looking good today?" She's like, "Oh, horse shit."
So the wig that Carol Locatell wears in it as Ethel was left over from, she was in the Burt Reynolds movie Sharky's Machine or something like that. Wasn't that it?
Yeah. She was a prostitute in it. Yeah.
And that was the same wig. Like if you go back and watch her scene in that, it's the same wig. She just put like dirt and shit in it and made it nasty looking. Damon,
David Gordon Green's in here, boys.
David Gordon Green, we love you, man.
David Gordon Green, part 4 ignore part 5 and Friday the 13th.
What is it?
He's saying if you don't stop talking about his movies, he's going to make a direct sequel to Friday the 13th part 4 and ignore part 5
exists.
That is fucking hilarious.
But welcome, David Gordon Green.
And he's going to wipe that from existence.
You big dildo, eat you fucking slop.
Well,
that's so funny.
Damon and Nita singing to each other in the shitter too. Like, come on, man. Who could not just get, that's just pure entertainment. Those damn enchiladas.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Vic, and then where he's like, "All right, Vic, but I think you're way out of line."
Here, Vic, here. I'm going to sit your kid right here.
We can't talk about him. He's not a nice man.
Which one?
Vic. He chopped up.
Oh, the dude. Yeah, oh, shit. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
Dominic or whatever his name is.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
I think, Melanie Kinnaman was a good final girl. Really, and Reggie's kind of like the co-final girl with him because he had a higher pitched scream than she did.
That's true. I'll tell you something else, though, you're forgetting.
What? Pseudo echo.
Doing all that shit.
Great characters, man. Like Juliette Cummins was pretty good looking too.
What is it? Oh shit!
Cool Duder's in here.
Cool Duder's here, boys.
What? Wow, we're getting everybody talking.
We can't even put that up, but it's great.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Roy Burns is Jason.
Old Festus.
Though we got to mention, I mean, I always thought this was silly because it was similar to what was going on with Halloween 3. Don't you think? Like people just totally dismissed Halloween 3 because Michael Myers wasn't in it.
Sure.
Right.
Yep. But I mean, that's different because he really wasn't in it. But Jason is in this movie. Like you don't know it ain't Jason till the last like 2 minutes of the movie or something. So
Yeah, the only real dead giveaway is the hockey mask is a bit different in it, which I'm
Yeah,
not
but the
really.
thing is, I don't think anybody even thought twice about that when it first came out. Like I don't think there was anybody that smart into the game where it's like, hey, those chevrons are blue. Like I don't think anybody really. They just
No.
probably thought it was a different mask, different design for the movie. I don't think anybody took that into consideration at all.
Come on, Roy, it's time to get your hands dirty.
When the very tail end of this movie too, with Tommy and the Pam character in the hospital and everything, do you think originally like they were going for Tommy Jarvis as the new killer
Yeah,
for the Friday the 13th series, and that just
absolutely.
didn't work?
Yeah, I do because I think there was
Yeah.
probably backlash on the whole Roy thing. So like, okay, so now what are we gonna do? We're gonna do another Jason, but I don't know. I wasn't a big. I know you guys liked it, but I think I like Tommy Jarvis from 6 better than from 5.
I do too. I don't think that that guy's a good Tommy Jarvis at all.
What's
Like,
funny is
I think he's
they
the least likable character in that whole fucking movie, as a matter of fact.
when we had talked to, I think it was Tom McLaughlin about part 6, they originally wanted John Shepard back for part 6, but something he couldn't do it or whatever. Maybe he'd found God at that point and didn't want to do it. So Tommy, you know, they had to replace Tommy Jarvis. It wasn't like a, you know, we want somebody different or whatever. They didn't have the choice. So Tom Matthews was a perfect choice for that character. John Shepard really doesn't do that great of a job in it.
Yeah, I don't really care for him really.
Except when he
at all.
kicks Junior's ass. He hurt me, mama.
He gets his fucking head cut off.
Would you shut the fuck up and come eat my stew?
It looks more like potpourri or something.
It really does. She just put a bunch of flowers and stuff in the top of water.
But that
forces him to eat potpourri. Like,
part 5 is easily the one that I've seen the most. It has to be, because as a kid, I remember part 5 was always the one that they put on TV for some reason. Like it was part 3 and part 5.
That's the first time I saw it was on TV. Yeah,
all over TV. And the best parts, of course, they cut out if it was on TV. But yeah, that's love part 5.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Carol Locatel, rest in peace. Every line she has in that movie is amazing. There's not one wasted line in that movie for her.
Now, did you guys ever meet her?
No, we interviewed her, but we never met her in person. I don't think she ever did any conventions we were at. We definitely would have.
The only one that was halfway close to us, they did like a Friday 5 reunion in Columbus, Ohio for like Horror Hound or something. But that was during the time where we weren't doing anything with Dead Pit or whatever. And I didn't really even know that much about it going on. But yeah, we never met her, or we never did meet Junior either, did we? So maybe that'll happen at some point.
He lives in Hawaii or something crazy, though. He doesn't get around to do a lot of conventions, I don't think.
No, he's back. I think he lives
back?
He lives in Arizona now, I think.
Oh, God. You got a $2 suit. This is going to be amazing. Here we go.
Tom Matthews and Jim Ross commentary team. I've got to do both. I got to have voices in my head.
Yeah.
Folks, it's going to be a real slobber knocker here. Not because Macho Man Randy Savage versus Jason Voorhees. It's going to be one hell of a match here, ain't it? Tom Matthews. Well, Jim, God damn it, Jason. God damn it, Jason. He's going to cheat to win. I hope the Macho Man wins tonight, Jim. God damn you, pussy. It's going to be one hell all night here, folks.
That was fucking, that's worth more than $2, dude. Like, that was amazing. Damn. That's pretty much perfect.
That was good. You're gonna do like a whole skit like at your house and then just record it of like him and then like with like Dusty and shit. That'd be so funny.
All right. So everybody knows, of course, the first one is my favorite of all time. Wow. And there's a certain just creepy factor to this from the opening scene now. And it's weird. I can't even explain like at what point in time it became one of my favorites, because much like part 2, I didn't like this movie when I was a kid. So I think it may have been around the time like when the DVDs originally came out, and I started watching them late at night by myself. What is it? The Kumbaya song or whatever they're playing in the beginning. The way it's shot and everything, very rough looking, independent looking, kind of. I don't know, man. It's just got a certain vibe to it that I like a lot, and that I think is pretty damn creepy. And wilderness slashers, man. It's like one of the this is the granddaddy of them, isn't it?
I watched that right before I came on here. That was the Friday the 13th film that I watched this year. And you're right. Like it's got like a very distinctive kind of like ominous feeling to it when it opens up, like from the moment that it opens up until the very end of the film. My argument about this movie though has always been that like the first half is just so, and it's mostly because of the characters. Like most of all the supporting characters in the film are just kind of like forgettable, and like it's got the great Kevin Bacon death scene, but that's like really like the only great one that I can think of in that whole set. But to me, what always makes this film a classic is when Betsy Palmer comes into it, because I think it's like one of the best performances in any horror film by anybody ever.
One thing that I don't think that we could ever experience, and by the time we saw it, it was old news, was that final scene with the boy Jason jumping out of the lake. And can you imagine like what that would be for people in 1980 that were watching the movie for the first time? And we talked to Harry Manfredini about this too, the interviews on the Patreon page, about the music design for that too, because he was playing something soft and delicate. You're like, oh, she has survived this big ordeal here and everything. And then, boom. I think like it would be a really awesome experience to that be your first time you saw it in the theater like that. That was a hell of a scare at the end of the movie.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I actually, like I said, I'm impressed that that's your favorite, because the more and more I feel like the years go by, I feel like this one slides farther down on people's list. And I really don't know why, because I absolutely love the original. And a lot of people's like, oh, Jason's not in it. But you know what's funny is I don't ever remember ever having a problem with that. Like even as a kid, when I was really just getting into horror and I watched this one, like to me, this just felt like a precursor to the story. Like it didn't bother me that Jason wasn't in this, because I just felt like it was just kind of part of the tale. And I think it's just a fantastic movie. And me and Uncle Bill talked about this. I just grabbed this thing that came out this week. It's that new 4K steel book with the waxwork slip or whatever. And I think when we're done, I'm probably going to go pop this in.
Yeah, I want you to let me know what you think about that, because I don't have the 4K. I watched the 4K print from Voodoo, and I fucking thought it looked unbelievable.
It does, yeah. That's like what I watched it on. I haven't even opened that yet. I just watched it on fucking Voodoo.
I mean, because people were complaining about the 4K, the standard one,
looking dark, they said.
Which I'm sure it's the same disc, like the one that you've got.
Yeah, I think it is. I never bought that 4K because I heard that that the transfer wasn't that great. Like it looked really dark, so I skipped it, thinking I'll just wait till the box set comes out. But then when this came out with that like special waxwork collaboration, and I figured I'd give it a chance. And having the steelbook with the original art, I think is pretty cool. And I didn't have any of the steelbooks because you said you have the bunch of them already, Blu-rays, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of pisses me off that they did that, but I was like all set, because this is when the 4K came out. I was ready to just put that on and be like, oh, damn, that looks so fucking bad. And I was like shocked. I was like, holy shit. This transfer looks amazing. It's like a night and day difference between that and the Blu-ray, I thought.
I don't know. As time goes by with that movie, I appreciate Betsy Palmer's and actually Tom Savini like more and more every time I watch that movie. Those are the two things that really held that movie together to me. And like I've said before, like one of the best scenes in any horror film ever is where she first shows up, and like it seems normal at first. She's talking to her, and it's just like, she's trying to get her to help her and tell her what's going on. And it's like, she's like, oh my God, like, yeah, acting like she's concerned or what. And she starts talking more and more, and it starts to become clear that, like what's going on. But the best line and her delivery of that line is so amazing is where she goes, to me, is where she goes, he wasn't a very good swimmer. And then she smiles and kind of like,
Yeah.
it's this weird kind of smile. And then right then that like, it's over with.
The only thing that I'm wondering though is like, so Betsy Palmer was listed as the star of this movie. She's not in it at all until the last, 15, 20 minutes of the movie. So doesn't that kind of set it up even for people when they were going to see it initially that, hey, Betsy Palmer, like halfway through the movie, like, where's she at? She's got to be the killer, right?
Probably at that time, but I didn't know who the fuck Betsy Palmer was by the time I watched that movie. So
I didn't
no, but I'm just saying back then, people, grown-ups and stuff would have known who she was because she was on like all kinds of older movies and talk shows and stuff.
By the way, speaking of Betsy Palmer, though, she's passed away now, but she was like one of the coolest people. People always ask us like who you meet at conventions that are cool. Like she was one of the coolest people that I've met at a show because she was crazy. She's like a crazy old woman, but she loved like people that came up and talked to her. At least she acted like she did anyway.
Adrian King is also another very cool person to meet. And when we saw her, like, she still looks damn good for her age. She's in her 60s or something like that at this point, I'm thinking. 2008 Scarefest, she looked almost exactly the same as she looked in the first Friday the 13th movie. Wow. You remember this, Uncle Bill?
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. You know, and just the sweetest person, too, by the way. So if anybody ever has a chance to meet her, which I've talked to her a couple of times at conventions over the years, always great person to meet and stuff. So
who was the worst one we met from the franchise? Probably Tom Savini, if you're talking about like
Miguel Nunez is pretty bad.
Yeah, I forgot about him. That one was rough.
Yeah, he wasn't a dick, he was just rude. Kinda like it wasn't like he was being mean or anything, but it was like that wasn't anything special.
I tell you how bad it was. Like when I saw your interaction with him, I was right behind you and I had something I wanted to get him to sign. I was just like, nope, just fucking walk away.
Yeah, because what happened was he was on the phone with somebody or something. Or no, I think I went up to him and then somebody called him while I was up there. Right?
Yeah.
And then it was just like
and
I was like, can I take a picture? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's talking the whole time.
And then when he took the picture, this is what I remember too. Like I think I took the picture, or it might have been me, but like he was on the phone. He was like, and when we went to take the picture,
he's like, hang on a second.
Like he just went like that, and then took the picture, and then went like, it's just
thanks, buddy.
Kept talking.
Yeah.
It's just a douche.
It was one of those deals. But yeah, that is the Friday the 13th. My ranking. So whenever there's another Friday the 13th, September of 2024, we're going to have to come up with something else to do because we've all ranked our Friday the 13th movies at this point.
Yeah. So we'll have to come up with a new concept, something different. But if you guys haven't checked out my ranking or Uncle Bill's ranking, you can go check those out in the archives. I think yours was probably earlier this year, right, dude?
Yeah, that was the last Friday the 13th, which I can't remember when that was. January, February?
Probably. And then I think mine was at some point last year.
Yeah.
Maybe like last October or something like that, perhaps.
Yeah. So, yeah. One other thing I wanted to mention while you guys are on here and get your thoughts on it. Best Buy announcing physical media come March of 2024. No more, not only in the stores, but online as well. So that's the end of the Steelbook exclusives and all that stuff. Forever. What do you guys think of that?
I'm kind of bummed actually, because I don't really shop in stores too much, every once in a while, but I actually went into my Best Buy on Wednesday. That's when I picked this up. And I was like walking around and I almost filmed it because I said to myself, wow, they've got a ton of shit here. Like those Halloween box sets, they had 3 on the shelf. They had these, they had all the new releases that came out. And I almost like scrolled through just to be like, wow, there's not as many aisles as there was before, like, years ago, but what they had, they just had a lot of new product. Like there was a lot of Scream Factory stuff out there. And I was actually impressed. And then all of a sudden we get the news yesterday and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's crazy because I just thought to myself, wow, this is the most I've seen Best Buy have in a couple of years. So I don't know. It was hard for me to kind of believe it at first. I was like, really? Like, doesn't
It's
seem
weird
right. But
though
then,
to me
like,
because like they're not even doing like through the mail stuff, like online orders, like which
right.
you would think that they got to be making a fortune off those exclusives,
Yeah.
like steel books and stuff. They always sell out, so I couldn't believe they wouldn't just do online.
Doesn't seem like they are, but I saw CBS or some news station near me just did a whole thing about it today, and they said, you know, they are going to, or at least the plan is they're gonna start marking a lot of shit down because they want to get rid of stuff.
Hell
To
yeah.
like, and they said this might be, you know, grab what you can get because this will be the last holiday season that you'll ever be able to buy physical media from Best Buy, which so I guess it really is happening. Like I thought when that came out, I'm like, I think people are overreacting, but it does
Apparently not.
seem like a real thing because like we just said, they're coming out with Best Buy exclusives all the time. And I type in all the time. I go to Best Buy and I type in 4K exclusives and I just look through them and be like, and grab the ones I need and order them straight up, you know, just in case they're not in the store. But it seems like Walmart's going to get their stuff. And to me, that kind of sucks because like Walmart's, at least around here, they're like almost tiered. Like specific Walmarts, like I have one Walmart that gets like nothing but like DVDs. Then there's another Walmart that's like okay. Then there's like a bigger Walmart that gets like those Halloween steel books and stuff like that. So I don't if they're gonna all start going to Walmart, I think it's gonna be a lot harder for people to get them because I don't know. It just seems to me like a lot of my Walmarts are just very different in like what kind of stuff they're bringing out.
I think Walmart is definitely limiting their stuff more too. It seems like. I mean, even the supercenter Walmarts that you go to, it's down to maybe like
Well,
half of an aisle or something.
Yeah,
I'd
it
heard
really is.
that the next big thing that might happen is Target might stop physical media. Like that's a rumor
But you know what? To me,
because
Target's the worst in my opinion. It used to be way better back in the day.
yeah,
They'd
Target's
have
not great. You know what
exclusives,
Target
but
is great with though is like figures. Like
oh
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
seen
Oh
another
yeah,
store
yeah, yeah.
like that does more shit
No.
with figures than Target. But anyway, like they're going to probably get rid of their physical media section next. So that leads to the question, like, I mean, how much longer before like all stores basically get rid of their physical media sections and
I think
then
it's coming. I think within the next 2 years,
So
it's going completely
I
in
I
stores.
agree with that, and I think you know I had a conversation. I was on Sassy Sledgehammer's show the other day, and we talked a little bit about it. And she asked me that question too. And this is before I even heard about the Best Buy thing hadn't been announced at this point, but I started to think like with the idea of how big physical media is at one end of the spectrum of like the people that are in it, like the boutique side of it is insane right now. It's like almost like the craziest it's ever been, in my opinion. But then you have the other end of the spectrum with like the retail stores where it's like dying hard and fast. So I think we might start seeing a little more like these like smaller boutique stores opening. Like for instance, the archive that is like 2 hours south from me. You go in there, it's like a dream, like Orbit, like all these other ones that are out there. Like to me, I feel like we might start seeing more of these things pop up and maybe have these become more of like destinations, but I don't know because there's so much out there. It's still to me fun to go into a store and buy something rather than just order it online. Like if I had that option. So I mean, maybe we'll see a little bit more of that into the spectrum of like these stores popping out where like you can get a lot of these titles from overseas and boutique stuff that are at your fingertips in these stores. I would hope that that could be kind of, you know, the future of what physical media is because it doesn't seem like the big stores are going to have anything anymore.
But it's a shame because we all remember what Best Buy was at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people that are saying, I don't really care about Best Buy or it's not going to affect me. You probably don't remember what Best Buy was 20 years ago. It was like imagine like all of what Best Buy has now in a big store. The horror section was bigger than that, just horror movies
yeah.
back 20 years ago. And it's a shame, man, because I honestly think, you know, the boutique thing is fine, but it's on such a small scale compared to what it was. Like the Anchor Bay limited edition was like 100,000 copies. A big
Right.
Vinegar Syndrome limited edition is 10,000, right? So it's
Yeah.
totally like Hollywood movies and everything, it's going to be really soon. The majority of those never come out on physical media. It's going to be streaming. I think that's going to happen real soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just us anyway. I mean, like in terms of people that are buying physical media, like it's a small group of people that are not mainstream kind of consumers or things like that. Like those people aren't buying DVDs or Blu-rays or especially 4Ks or anything like that. That's just not happening. Like people stream everything now, and that's the vast majority of what's being done. But then there's like a small band of people that like hardcore collect all that stuff, and that's what it's all going to turn into now. So, I mean, I think your Orbits, your Vinegar Syndrome, your Severin, your all those will like stay popular for a long time and continue to sell out. I thought maybe they'd go under too. I don't think that's ever going to happen anytime soon anyway.
Yeah.
But even little things that suck too, like if they get rid of the physical media section at Best Buy, do they no longer sell players anymore either? Like are those gone? Like, and then that becomes a whole other thing too, because
I did hear that the video games and stuff, they're stopping that too. They're not selling physical video game like games anymore.
I just wanted to highlight this real quick before I ban the fuck out of this guy. It'll be the last post you ever make on here, buddy. I hope that was worth it.
Peter North.
We'll see you later. Go fuck yourself.
You got to see the loose cannon come out tonight, Bulls.
Oh no, he doesn't want that.
But yeah, I mean the physical media thing though, 2 years is pretty. I think that's pretty accurate to what we'll see because Walmart has cut down tremendously. Like our Walmart over here is just DVDs. That's all it is really anymore, and it's like half of an aisle. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing if the Best Buys are going to have stuff on closeout in the store because I want to be running around like a chicken with its head cut off trying to get all the shit.
Right.
Cheap prices, but we will see.
I mean, I think we're going to definitely, if they're going to do it, it's probably going to be Black Friday is probably going to be a big one because they're going to need to, if this is going to be supposed to be ending by the beginning of 2024, I mean, they're going to have to start getting rid of some backstock. And I'm actually thinking about going online very soon, maybe even tonight, and just looking at what their exclusive steelbooks are and just trying to grab a bunch of different ones that maybe I missed out on because who knows, those might be gone forever. I don't know if they're going to get transferred to other stores. So, those could become very, very limited. Like that Halloween set, if you cannot get that anymore after this first initial run, it doesn't go to like a Target or Amazon or anything like that. Like that's going to be a pretty valuable piece if it was that limited to like a run.
I was wondering about that too, like because there's a couple people that are saying like Amazon or somebody else might pick up like a lot of their exclusive stuff. I mean, do you think that'll happen?
It might. I mean, I would hope so, but
I just don't see them fucking with it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not Amazon. Amazon definitely would, but I'm talking about Best Buy. Like, I feel like.
Well, I mean, like me, like I can say just from my buying habits, mainstream Hollywood stuff, I never buy it. To me, that just takes up room on the shelf. Like I don't really have an interest in buying it. Even like the stuff that I like I never did get Megan on Blu-ray or anything. I just don't have interest in owning stuff like that. So whereas like the boutique stuff is stuff that we've either never seen or stuff that is very hard to get that we don't have. So it's different audiences. So, I mean, I don't think too many people would be that upset if, Fast and the Furious 14 was only digital or what, or whatever. I mean, who the hell's going to care,
Yeah, it's just crazy though. It's kind of an end of an era. It's an end of another thing that we grew up with our whole lives and now is just gone for probably ever. I don't see it ever coming back because I just don't think that the people that are younger than us are ones that have the nostalgia that would bring it back. Like I never thought cassette tapes would ever see the light of day ever again. And TerraVision just announced like 4 of them today that they're putting
Saw
out,
that.
right?
That's
So,
kind of stupid though.
but I mean, like, I don't think anybody, and the only people that are going to buy those are people like you and me that have a
Collectors.
nostalgia for it and stuff too. But I mean, I don't think after our generation, anybody's going to give
Don't
a shit about a lot of this stuff.
I mean, don't you think that entertainment now fucking sucks, just as a whole?
Oh God,
Like,
of
if you
course.
look at music, movies, video game, like it all fucking just sucks. Like, and I'd like to think it's just, you know, me getting older because I would like to see stuff like actually be good, but I don't think it is. I think the quality of everything has dropped tremendously just because of like TikTok and shit where everybody's attention span is so like
I agree.
fucking
I mean,
small that they can't.
there's a lot to it too. I mean, that has to do with people wanting to do things on the cheap. So like CGI is heavily involved. I think it has to do with creativity being off. I think people looking back and be like, well, you know, something like this has kind of been done. I don't want to feel like I'm ripping it off, and or this has been done. So they just come out with stuff. And I also think that the way the world is now is that everybody that's creating something has trouble being creative because they're too busy watching out for like what they should and shouldn't say. They don't want to offend certain people. So I mean, once you bring all that to the table, I mean, that really limits a lot of the writing, a lot of the creativity when you're so busy trying to figure out, well, okay, let's put this out, but I can't annoy anybody in the process. Like I think
Right.
that's hard. That's hard for creators, I think, nowadays to do
Because
that.
now you're right, everybody's got to walk on fucking eggshells about everything.
Sure.
Which makes everything suck so much because like nothing can be realistic. Like it's all just it's all a bunch of people just skirting around issues and things like that that are popular right now. But a couple things on there I want to mention. Do I look like a motherfucker that listens to Drake, by the way,
Yeah,
Rathammer? No.
you do.
And number 2, Crip Sweeper. Yeah, I preface what I was saying by every generation never thought that. Yeah, that's a common argument. Well, what I'm saying is that in past generations, at least you had like physical forms of things that they just kind of like they changed, but they were still like you had bands that played musical instruments, right? Like from probably like they said that was popular from the 50s to the 2000s. And then from like 2010 on, it's singers, man. There ain't fucking bands anymore. It's all singers or like
That's true.
pop
No,
productions and stuff like
sure.
that. So you had movies, and then you had movies that were physical, like media kind of movies. You bought them on like VHS and then DVD and then Blu-ray. Now you're not doing that. They don't exist like that anymore. All of the formats of these things have changed completely, not just the ideas like moving around and things like that. So that's what I'm saying.
I also
So
think that our roles in what we do here on, say, YouTube and stuff like that, and talk about horror and physical media, I think, to me, I think I take that as an important role because we're the ones that are gonna introduce some of these younger people that might have interest in some of this stuff into collecting physical media and stuff. Like this is the avenue I think of younger people to get involved in this is watching stuff like this because you know, I had my uncle. I watched I listened to you guys when I was in my early 20s or whatever, right? So there was always people that I could find that were into this stuff, but when it doesn't exist as easily as it does, you don't have those people in your life that kind of try to get you involved in this stuff. That, you know, where are you going to go to get the next generation to be interested in these things? So I mean, I'm hoping that maybe younger generation find these channels that are interested in horror and keep this whole thing alive because it's slowly just changing, you know, and the movies are different. And if nobody talks about a movie, it never exists, right? So to us
yeah.
talking about all the early Friday the 13th is huge for anybody who catches this thing young at a younger generation, because if nobody talks about it, it doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's been a great show, guys. I hope everybody's had a happy Friday the 13th. And most of these movies, man, like I try to watch at least one Friday the 13th every Friday the 13th, but I've seen them so many damn times. I just usually don't. So hopefully, you know, it's September of 2024 is the next Friday the 13th. By that time, let's hope and pray that there is a new Friday the 13th, something to talk about, a movie, a TV show, something, because it's ridiculous. It's been 14 years, almost 15 years since a Friday the 13th film has been out.
yeah, I hope something comes along. I just hope I don't know.
it's needed. I mean, Jesus, come on
I don't
now.
want
Like,
to. Do you want to see a TV series of Friday the 13th? Because I really
I
don't.
I honestly, and I know that Halloween is up for it as well, for the TV series. I personally don't because number one, and I'm selfish. Like, I don't have time to watch a long run. You know how many Chucky episodes I've seen? Zero. You know what I mean? So
Me
if I
either.
look at that concept and I'm like, if that's just what it's going to be, and I think too, when it comes to a lot of these franchises, is the magic of these is the anticipation where it's if it's at your fingertips every week in some form. I just don't feel like it's going to be as exciting when a movie does come out.
Well, there's just too many series now, too, on too many different formats that like that'll just get lost with everything else to me. Like, I mean, I won't pay any attention to it. There's like 1,000 different like shows like that,
Right.
now.
Like, I mean, what's that one they did? American Horror Story, like
Mhm.
1980s or whatever. Like, it's probably going to be something similar along those lines. You would think. Um, Again, am I interested, intrigued? Sure, but I'm just nervous because I don't think I'm gonna be consistent with it. You
I
know,
think a Halloween TV show would be more interesting than a Friday the 13th. I don't know how you would do a Friday the 13th show. If I was doing a Halloween show, all right, number one, the show's called Haddonfield. Number
Mhm.
two, it's an anthology show. It's not about Michael Myers. It's Deborah Hill and John Carpenter's original idea for the Halloween series. So each episode revolves around Halloween, kind of like, Tales from the Crypt or something like
Sure.
that. It's a different horror story each episode. I
Is
think
he
that
directing it
that's
from his couch? That'd be killer.
sure. Let him. I would let him do the first episode at least.
He's gotta.
But I think that would be a good option for Halloween. Just don't have
They
Michael Myers in it at all.
they also said Malika Akkad is very interested in exploring a TV show universe of Halloween 3. So again, I don't know if that would work. It's interesting, but it goes back to the same thing. If Michael Myers isn't part of it, does that become a problem? You know,
Hmm. If you
so I don't know.
you think about how much money Halloween itself, the Michael Myers Halloween has made like a fucking ton of money for people. But up the last 5 years, Halloween 3, I think has made a fuck ton of money on those
Oh
masks
God,
and like the
toys,
Merchandising, yeah.
action
designs and all
figures,
that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's like crazy. Like that one film has just like taken off and it's its own brand now, aside from like the other Halloween film.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, we'll see where it goes. I think Miramax got the rights. So is it the movie rights? Is it the TV rights? Have they said?
I
As
thought it
far
was
as I know,
TV.
it's TV rights first, but then they said with the idea of making it features. So as far as if they have the film rights to make movies, I don't know for sure, but they did mention that there is talks of doing more movies. So if that's with Miramax, I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't think Rob Zombie's gonna be doing anything for a long time after the Monsters
That
Venom
was a
Brew.
success though, man.
Yeah, I know it was.
Oh God. Anyway, we appreciate everybody joining us on here. Lots of people up in the chat. We come close to 200 a few times,
Nice.
but no, everybody else is
Someday.
watching Friday the 13th tonight. Probably, I can understand. I can
Yeah, for
understand.
sure. Oh,
But
and Scott, just so you know, that was all fake news, by the way.
yeah,
That's a
news.
whole nother can of worms, but we'll get into that another time.
Garrett, what you got coming up on the channel with the Rad Pack? Whatever you want to mention. On
Yeah. So if you follow the Rad Pack podcast, we have a YouTube channel. Subscribe over there, or we're on audio platform as well. We do have an interview dropping next week with the cast and writer director of a new movie called Exorcists that is dropped on VOD currently. I guess it just dropped last week, and it stars Doug Bradley. So we interviewed him and Jose Prendes, who is the writer director. And
Master
that
Chaos
interview,
Bolts. Does he not
oh,
want
yeah,
people to know it's
no.
What?
well shit?
I mean, I don't think he cares, but it wasn't. We never referred to that on the show at all.
Oh, okay.
We never
Well,
brought
I
that up.
think he kind of promotes it himself on his channel too.
Yeah. So
it's all good.
but yeah, that interview is going to drop this week. They're just hyping that new movie that they're in. So that's one. I've got some Rad Up All Night stuff. I have a movie haul that's coming up that I need to do. I've got my top 20 favorite 90s horror movies. That one's coming up. I've got live show with the Rad Dudes, Cody from Dude Who Loves Movies on my channel. We're going to be doing talking about Halloween specials from our childhood. We're going to talk about that. There's a Rad Pack episode next Friday night. We're going to be doing the Blob versus the Stuff, and then there's other stuff coming on, some Exorcist related stuff, and then you guys and I have a show talking all things the Exorcist franchise. We'll even get into Believer and talk a little bit more about that.
I don't want to.
So.
No,
You don't want to be a believer. The Curse
No.
of the Exorcist franchise, October the 27th at 10 p.m. But other stuff, roundtable thing with Wet Movie on Monday night coming up, going over some of our Halloween watches for this year or stuff we recommend. That's always a fun sort of deal. And at some point this month, Sequelitis, The Ring 2, and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
no.
So the terrible twos. And Halloween 4 commentary and Criminally Insane, aka Crazy Fat Ethel commentary. I think that's what we've got left for this month.
I mean, it's good. It's a lot of content coming. So again, we've said this before, hit the like buttons on both channels. Make sure you subscribe to both channels. Make sure you go back and watch Uncle Bill and my ranking list to see how much it differs from Wes's and maybe even your own. But there's so much content. And I think that there's a lot of people that, that maybe haven't gone back and watched some of the old stuff. So definitely check it out.
Mayor, you may not have to wait very long for that. That's
No.
all I can say.
Interesting.
All right, guys, but it's been fun. Everybody have a happy Friday the 13th. Happy Halloween if we don't talk to you before Halloween. And we will catch you guys on borntobirad.com and, of course,
deadpit.com.
Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe, and if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a fuck.
I want you to. I don't care. Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit radio shirts. You can get Last Out on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows, fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.